Right, so we're going to be trying a lot of different backgrounds in the coming few weeks. I need to get my background like on point, and like this is not on point, is it? No. So I apologise for the background, but it's pending, you know. And welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Today we are going to do another installment of my new mini-series, What Happens When. If you don't know, then I talk about mental health every week on my channel. It's something that I've been through, it's something that I am slowly conquering. Sorry, what was that? That was disgusting. You know, fuck, that was so bad. Fairs, I actually did realise that I was being super duper cringe, so... I asked on my Instagram, go follow me on Instagram if you don't already. It's where I talk about my videos most of the time, it's where I get your input, I speak to you guys. Basically all the shit happens on my Instagram, so go follow me on there. I asked for more topics to do with what happens when, so I got a lot of responses which I wrote down because I think they'll be good for the future. But today we are just going to be doing what happens when you show your self-harm scars. Now if you're like me, I'm joking, I'm not going to be like exhibit A, look at my scars. If you're like me and have struggled with self-harm in the past, it's very likely that you will have self-harm scars. Now, first of all, can we just say over here in this little firm, we are not ashamed of self-harm scars. That is the message I want to portray. Self-harm scars are nothing to be ashamed of. It is a repercussion of an illness that sadly lasts on your body and can be very visible on your body. So there's nothing to be ashamed about. No sister. But it can get complicated when you start deciding whether you're going to show your self-harm scars or not. I've done various videos about self-harm scars beforehand. I will link my one where I say should you self-harm, because that is a no. Should you show your self-harm scars? I will link that in the iCard. One of them, I don't know which one it is. Like, am I reversed or am I the right way? Because if I'm doing it the right way, then the iCard would be here. So yeah, I discussed whether you should show them, when suitable to show them, my opinions on this. And just like I say in every video now, these are all my opinions. I'm not a professional, I don't have any qualifications in the mental health field. I'm just a girl who has been through mental health struggles and wants to help other people feel less alone, less scrutinised, and try and break down that stigma a bit more, because the stigma is still there, people, and we need to get rid of that. It's gonna be a long journey, but we will get there in the end. I just think there's nothing to be ashamed about with struggling with mental health, so if people think there is a reason to be shamed, then just tell them to fuck off, really. But in saying all of that, I know what it's like to be the girl who wears long sleeves every day because you're too ashamed to show your self-harm scars. I actually wore long sleeves every day for 3 years at one point, and now I would say that was about 2-3 years ago, and now I'm like completely comfortable with showing my arms. I literally do not give a fuck, and I'd say especially with my self-harm healing, that has definitely benefited me now that I'm in the right mind frame, because my arms are less noticeable, so it's less of, I get less people commenting on it, if you know what I mean. But there was a time when my arms were very noticeable. The scars were purple or red, and I would get a lot of questions about it, and I felt very self-conscious of them. I hated them. I hated my arms. I wish I could swap my arms for anyone. Like, literally, I wish I could just chop off my arms. That's how much I hated them. But I want you to know that you can grow as a person and learn to not necessarily love yourself. I'm not saying that I love myself. I'm not saying I love my body. There are problems with my body which I absolutely hate, and yeah, that I think that's completely normal, but I've accepted them as part of my body, and I can move on with my life a bit more. I'll tell you what, like, once you start to accept your body, start to accept the way you look, start to accept your life and your brain, and learn that you are still so lucky to have many things that we have, that's when you start to move on with your life. A bit of gratitude goes a long way, you know what I mean? So, what happens when someone sees your scars? Now, there are 2 ways I believe that you can go about this. Maybe 3 actually. The first one is what I tend to say now, which is very simply, I went through a tough time when I was younger, but now I'm doing a lot better. And I think that's a very clear-cut, I'm loving all the puns, a very clear-cut way of saying, I have explained to you, but I don't want to digress anymore, so please don't ask me any more questions. If they then go on to ask questions, then I go, I don't really want to talk about it, like, they're just there and I have to deal with it. I think that's a very nonchalant way of saying mind your own business. But in saying that, and me saying mind your own business, I think we have to understand that we need to take a bit of responsibility, that if you do show your scars, then people are likely to ask, and that's not them necessarily being really rude or nosy, like I've just said. Like, I made a bit of a joke about it, but it's not. Some people are genuinely concerned, some people are genuinely interested, and when I went to Bali, a lot of people didn't know, like, they genuinely just didn't know that the cuts on my arm were from myself. I think they thought I'd been in an accident or something. So I think taking a bit of responsibility and thinking, if I'm going to show my arms, I need to be prepared for people to comment on them and for me to be able to answer them. So you need to kind of have your responses kind of pre-thought of. What's that word? Hey Siri, what's the word for previously thought of?
Okay, I found this on the web for what's the word for previously. Check it out.
You've thought ahead. So that would be my first, I've spoken about, I just went off on a tangent then, I'm sorry. My second and third responses are responses I have done in the past, and the second one is perform a joke. Not perform, but like joke out of it. You know, if you don't laugh, you'll cry kind of thing. And the third one is to retaliate, which I have done in the past. Now, I think the retaliation comes when you're slightly, and I'm not going to say this to be patronising, but I was a lot more immature. I was a lot younger, and I hadn't taken that responsibility of thinking, if I show these, I need to be prepared for people to question them. So retaliating, and I don't mean verbally retaliating, I don't mean like you verbally abusing someone, but because we've got to remember, this is a very tender subject, this is a very close to home, it's a very, even though people believe that self-harm is very attention seeking, or people do it for attention so that they can see like the cuts on their arm, like all that bullshit, it's not, because self-harm is actually a very secretive behaviour. It's something that's so personal and so destructive and abusive when you think about it, like actually damaging yourself because of thoughts in your head. The physical act is so severe, and leaving permanent scars on your body isn't something easy to just start to get over and to understand. I know I make it very blasé that I'm like, oh yeah, well I accept my scars now, but it was a journey, honestly. Don't want to sound like really, but it was a journey for me to go on, and I had to learn to accept myself, and I had to learn to have these difficult conversations with people around me, with people in my life, with people I don't know, and with myself. I had to have these difficult conversations with myself to understand fully what was going on in my head, why I was doing what I was doing, how I could stop the behaviour, and how I could learn to move on from the behaviour. So I think the retaliation of crying or getting very upset is when you kind of hit that Achilles heel. It's when you're maybe not ready or not comfortable enough to show your scars. And I don't want to put like boundaries on this, because some days you might be completely okay with showing your scars, other days you might not be. It's not like a linear thing, it's completely up and down. I'm only on the straight and narrow path now, but think about in like 2-3 years ago, the first time I ever wore my arms out was at prom, and I literally spent 40 minutes covering them in makeup before, even though you could still see them. But that was such, I can't even express to you how much of a big deal that was for me. To order a short sleeve dress was, oh, it was massive. I was lucky enough that I had kind of had the difficult conversation with people online. So like virtually they knew what, like virtually the people at my school and that, they knew that I had left school and gone to a psychiatric unit, and subsequently now have scars on my arm, and they knew not to ask. But if you don't have this kind of conversation with other people, then they are gonna ask, especially if they're close to you, because when people are close to you, like, you would not want to see your best friend have scars on their arm and them not have told you. And I don't want to guilt trip you in any way, but I just want you to say, like, these difficult conversations need to happen. This slight responsibility needs to be taken. And taking responsibility, honestly, once you have a bit of responsibility, it gives you power over the behaviour. It gives you the power over them. They don't speak for you, you speak for yourself. And that's what I want you to know, that responsibility is not bad, and it's not shaming you into doing anything bad. It's saying, I am more than these. I am more than my scars. I am more than any of that. I'm more than my past. And I think that's so powerful, and taking that control is so important to be able to move on. I know I'm kind of digressing a bit, I hope you don't mind, but the second one, which is now the third one,
they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine. You're not really fine. You just
left me, you know, like with a stranger, because that's what I would do. I would start, once you get me in that deep shit, like I am like diving in. Oh, I'm about to dive in. Yeah, so it's a lot easier to just kind of go, I had a fight with a lion, like I had a fight with a tiger. I went, or I'd go, you want to see these? You want to see how the other person came off with it, mate? Like, or the worst thing is when people like try and flirt with you by using your scars. So they'd be like, your arm. I've had it in the past where people have been like, what's that on your arm? Hi, my name's Jack. No, do not, like, scars are not a way to pick up girls or boys. Like, no, just don't do that. But having a joke about it, I think Maddie Bruce did a video about like, I can't remember how many, it might be 30, 50 or 100 self-harm excuses. So I'll link that down below. Again, this is not me endorsing the behaviour in any way. I'm saying that on my channel, I think we need to like just have a baseline acknowledgement that I don't endorse self-harm. I endorse the acceptance of having mental health problems and not being ashamed of them. So if you're new here, I just want to let you know that, like, if you can, don't self-harm. I mean, it's a lot easier said than done, but you know, I mean, if you can prevent this behaviour, that is so much more better. That is so much better. And I've done a multitude of videos where I have helped people try and understand their illness a bit more, and spoke about how I managed to conquer it as such. So yeah, I will link Maddie's video down below if she's still got it up. If not, I'll find some other ones where people do like funny, like they'll go, oh, I had a fight with a razor. Like, it's so tragic, it's so dark, but it's sometimes got to be done, because say if you're drunk or if you're out and you just can't be asked to explain, but you're also not at the point where, like, it's not a upsetting subject as such, it's more, I just can't be asked to get into it, mate. You could just say that, just be like, oh, don't even start on that, let's talk about, can we talk about my hair and my dress, you know, like, why do we have to talk about these? Yeah, they're lines, you know, why don't we start talking about the grey lines that I'm now getting in my hair, the fact that I'm 22 and I'm fucking going grey. So there are just some like little things that I think is important to remember about having self-harm scars. Do not be ashamed, hashtag I am not ashamed. Send me your pictures on Instagram, hashtag that, my little hashtag thing. But yeah, I think Instagram is actually getting a lot better with censoring self-harm or recovered bodies. And again, just before I finish this video, I want to say I'm not saying show self-harm that is fresh or that is new, because I think I've spoke about that in my other video, so I'll link my other video down below. But yeah, I do have kind of a bit of an issue with that, just not because of you, because of other people that may be triggered by that. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you like these little like snippet videos, they're great because they're easy for me to make and I really enjoy making them. It's like a chat, it's like a discussion thing. So if you have anything or any experiences, comment them in the description, help each other out. Like, say what's the best way you've dealt with people asking about your self-harm scars, or what's the worst way you've had with people talking about your self-harm scars, just so that other people can read them and avoid it. So hopefully in the comments there will be a little mingling happening. So yeah, I am gonna love you and leave you here. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you took something from this video. If you're new, then subscribe and hit that bell, because I will be uploading a lot more videos now. I've got my YouTube on a lot now, so you know, more videos to come. But I'm gonna love you and leave you. Please stay safe, and I will see you in my next video.